Welcome to the December the 7th, 2004 pre-taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city and bring with it some of the people that are very, very important to the making of that history. And that is the case today. We're very excited to bring you history tape number 534. And we have two very special guests that have been on our show almost every Tuesday for one whole year. And now we're going to recap and bring you the state of the chamber as it existed when a very special young man came on board as chairman of the board of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. We're so pleased to bring back to the dais Mr. Greg Gessner. Mr. Gessner.
Ms. Jackson, thank you.
Yes, Your Majesty, we're glad to have you with us today.
Well, thank you.
Because you get to be very majestic after you have served a whole year as chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce. And that's also noted by the very wonderful young lady that's sitting on your left. Radonna Hessel, president of the Chamber, we're glad to have you back with us, my dear.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. And I usually would say, what's going on with the Chamber? Well, we know what's going on in the days to come because we already have it all mapped out, but we want to go back. So, with your permission, before we bring on the chairman of the board of the past year, we'd like for you to say one or two words about your tenure with this young man.
Well, I will say it's been wonderful. Greg brings some wonderful qualities to the Chamber. Part of that is just the history and tradition that he has with his family, the understanding of what the Chamber can do and what it can be, as well as just being involved in your community, and not necessarily for your own financial gain, but what you can do for the betterment. Besides that, he has a wonderful wife and two wonderful little boys that get to come around the Chamber every once in a while, and that's a lot of fun. It keeps us young and energized and makes us realize what we're doing this for. We're not necessarily doing it for what we are today. We're doing it for what it'll be in the future, and for those two little young men when they become future chairmen of the board.
Yes, that's wonderful. And probably Greg is one of the younger chairman of the board that's ever been the chairman of the board in our whole history. So we're just so glad to have had someone with his at his age in life that has really helped spur some of us along the way. And Greg, we're ready to talk about you and what happened to you all of this year. Were you prepared to be the chairman of the board?
As best I could.
All right.
There's always a least bit of trepidation and nervousness and wanting to make sure you do a good job in everything you do, and I think that's just part of my raising. But I hope that I've served our chamber well, and our president well, and our board of directors well.
Well, usually this comes at the end of the meeting, but so that we will not mess up and forget the most important thing here, I'd like for you to thank your wife and your family and Radonna and the board, and then we'll go into what happened.
Well, very good. I would like to take this time to thank my wife, Kelly. Wonderful, wonderful woman, very understanding. My boys, Will and Jake, my twin boys, they're 4.5 years old, and my family, we have a family business, my mother and my father, Ralph and Angela Gessner as well. They've all allowed me that time to serve and make this commitment to the city and to the chamber. Mm-hmm. And I would like to thank my board of directors, who none of this could be done without them, the executive board and the regular board of chamber.
That's wonderful. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Starting this business, you were chairman of the board elect a whole year before this and spent a long time making yourself ready for this, but now let's go through your year.
Well, very good. Well, we are drawing close to an end of year 2004 and the end of my term. This chamber has been made up of many organizations throughout the year, and we'd like to first remind folks that May 24th, 1945 was the charter of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, and it was signed. We're coming up on our 60th anniversary in the year 2005.
Isn't that exciting?
Very exciting.
Oh, and somebody else is going to get to celebrate that.
That's
but
very
you'll
good.
be with them, won't you?
I will be with them. I will not miss that. 60
Okay.
years for the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. Now, our mission has changed somewhat. It used to include things such as growing and promoting better livestock and poultry and horticulture and fruits and vegetables, but as the time changed, the chamber has changed as well.
Yes.
Our mission has become simply to promote, strengthen, and expand our business community, and that pretty much says it all.
Oh, that is really wonderful. Having a mission like that, getting away from this poultry business, but some of us in Grand Prairie still have gardens and do a little agricultural experimentation, don't we?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And that's permissible.
That's permissible. Well, we started out the year 2004 with a bang. The biggest crowd I've personally ever spoken to, we had over 500 guests attend the State of the City address by the mayor, our wonderful mayor, Charles England, at the Ruthie Jackson Center.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to be the one to introduce him and close the ceremonies for the evening. And it was just a great event.
And sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, I think it's so wonderful that you all would highlight the city. I know that it's very important to the Chamber that the city cooperate, but when you all gave them a leg up, having the State of the City and commanded everything, it was just really wonderful. How about your Mardi Gras tasting tour?
Moved on to the Mardi Gras tasting tour in February, and that was an opportunity for our local businesses, particularly the restaurants and hotels. Gave them a chance to spotlight their eateries, the foods, the establishments they have to offer to the community. And it was a great way for people to come and network.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to make any money on that?
I believe we did. We made a nice little profit for the Chamber.
That's good.
It was always a part of our fundraising
Yes, you bet.
opportunities. And it was great for the Chamber of Commerce in itself.
All right. And about your competition's always good. What about that?
Well, for the last 3 years in a row, there's been a very, very close vote of the favorite food provider. And 2004 Texas Roadhouse beat out Outlaws Barbecue once again with a close count. So very good eating establishments in Grand Prairie.
We would ask you to forecast for 2005, but we're going to leave that to Roy.
Well, that may be hard because we've got new restaurants that are moving here too.
Have,
so
yes.
it's
A
going
lot
to
of
be good competition.
That's great. And your tasting tour.
We combined it with the tasting tour. We combined the community awards event, and that was a great combination. It gave folks a very good opportunity not only to come out and network and see what the city of Grand Prairie and its businesses have to offer, but a chance for the Chamber to then turn right around and recognize some of those same businesses and those business leaders and folks that are involved in the community.
Were you part of all of the underlying choosing of these people, or did you have committees, or what? How did you pick out all these wonderful people for awards?
There's a nomination process, and every person that's a member of the Chamber of Commerce will get a ballot, and you can also stop by the Chamber or ask the Chamber to fax you a ballot. And if you'd like to make, not only are these awards for Chamber members and businesses involved, but also citizens. It's an open awards event, and if you've got a nomination you'd like to make for an outstanding individual, check with the Chamber on the categories that are available and make your nomination.
This big awards and tasting tour, where'd you have it?
At the Ruthie Jackson Center.
Atta-way.
That has been a wonderful establishment for the city of Grand Prairie. It's a great place for us to have a lot of good events and a lot of very nice facility.
And well, the city really depends on you to help us promote that, because that way we won't have to do taxes raising to subsidize it.
That's
so
correct.
Let's use it and have a party.
That's right.
Right. Next.
Well, we continue with those community traditions. We held our 11th annual Great Texas Scholar Program, and we visit the 9th grade center of both high schools in town, and we encourage students to take a recommended program making C's or better, and this will put them on the right track to success.
I'm really concerned and have a real love for this Great Texas Scholars, and just this morning our Quality of Life Foundation discussed that at length. Who all other than the Quality of Life and the Chamber of Commerce helped you get all this together, like the Grand Prairie ISD and what else?
Grand Prairie Independent School District, the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce has an education committee that works on it very diligently.
And we probably have about 200 businesses who participate in that, either through the being the volunteers that go into the schools and talk to the students. Towards the end of the year, after the students have completed the criteria as seniors, we have a luncheon for those students, and we have several businesses who give scholarships. We provide the students with door prizes, goodie bags, just a lot of encouragement to tell them that they did a great job, and that we hope that the seniors go back to the school promoting the event itself and encouraging the students that they're coming up behind them to stay involved, to do what they need to do to be successfur.
I attended this luncheon, and it was at Lone Star Park, and we had a very famous speaker. You want to tell us a little bit about how you choose those that really spur the kids on?
Well, Chad Hennings was our speaker this year, and I'm not sure how we were able to procure him. But
I think
actually, phone calls.
phone calls.
You know, when we started planning for this luncheon was, you know, right after the war in Iraq had started, and I actually saw Chad Hennings speak at a news conference.
Yes.
And, you know, Chad not only was with the Dallas Cowboys, but he's also served in the Air Force and a pilot, and he was able to bring to us not just, what I did for my football career. I think the one thing that he did that I remember, and I think a lot of people talk about, is, when he held his hand up to not only the students, I think we had 262 students there, as well as the business people. He had on his college ring. He didn't have on his Super Bowl ring. He had on his ring from his college. And
education.
He talked about how important that education was in all of what he did, not just the football. And basically, I came across a telephone number and called it expecting to get a secretary, and he answered the phone and talked to him about what the event was, and he just agreed to come. He actually flew in that day. He was about 10-15 minutes late because his plane was a little bit late, but he got there in time and did a great job.
It was wonderful. The boys and girls really did enjoy him. They gave him a standing ovation, which is sometimes usual, but they were really enthusiastic about that. And what's next about the newspaper reporter? You had a story about him.
Well, we always hold a very successful golf tournament each year to raise funds for the chamber operations, and it's been joked in the past that a newspaper reporter once asked a chairman or a president of a chamber of commerce if the world was coming in and the last thing a chamber would do is hold a golf tournament.
That's it. Got to make money, haven't we?
That may be the case, but we've still got to keep the doors open, and that's what those chamber of golf tournaments do for us.
Oh, that's great. And the Chamber's Golf Tournament, did you have a sellout or what?
We always have a full house, and this year was no exception, thanks to the co-chairs, City Councilman Ron Jensen and Rudy Martinez from SBC. Continued the successful tradition of what we've had in the past. Gave folks a good opportunity to network with other chamber members or bring your own clients out to the golf course and have 4 hours of good time with those clients and on the golf course.
Yes, and they can buy different things and sponsor different holes. Y'all are just making money right and left, and we need it, don't we?
Definitely.
Yes.
And I don't think it's just the chamber money. As Greg said, a lot of companies will bring out their clients,
camaraderie,
or potential clients. And you're out in a golf cart for 4.5 hours. You have a lot of time to talk and visit, not just about the weather, but a lot of business gets done on golf courses. We see it time and time again. And what's great about this is, as you said, companies can sponsor the golf tournament so that their name's out in front of the public.
Yes.
They can participate in the tournament. They can just come out and greet the golfers as they come around the corner. So it's a great opportunity for golfers and non-golfers alike. And of course, we have the beautiful Tangle Ridge Golf Course in Grand Prairie to host this with us. And it's a great day and a wonderful opportunity.
How about your monthly meetings?
Our monthly luncheons are always well attended. We've had some very phenomenal speakers this year. Among the ones we've already mentioned, Chad Hennings, we've also had Drew Pearson, former Dallas Cowboy and Super Bowl champion, and also Camille Keith from Southwest Airlines, who at one time gave a wonderful, wonderful speech on the effects of 9/11, the day that happened, and what that did to the airline industry, and how their company persevered, and they persevered through the patience and hard work of their employees.
We had two other pretty famous local speakers that I have not heard either of you mention, and Radonna was our speaker one time, and then you ended up being our speaker the next month, and we compared notes, and both of you were good.
Well, thank you, thank you. I think Radonna was probably a little better than me. We were given a wrap-up of my year, but I can't tell you, this has been a wonderful year thanks to this lady right here next to me.
Yes. She's a stem winder, isn't she?
She is.
We've decided that. How about number 19, your leadership class?
Well, that has been a phenomenal success. That continues to grow each year. It's a great program for businesses to get their own employees involved in. It gives the chamber a chance to show our leadership skills, and those folks can take that back to the business community.
That's wonderful. And the Quality of Life discussed that this morning again at their board meeting. There are many things that we really do appreciate the Chamber of Commerce for stem winding, those things like that we need in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Well, I think what leadership does is it gives several people an opportunity. We have people that have lived in Grand Prairie forever, but have not been involved. They don't know, what our community offers. There are new people that move to the community that, move from outside of the state, and they're looking for ways to get to know what's going on in our community. The leadership program, and I will say, through a lot of help from the Quality of Life Foundation, that program's been able to continue and thrive and grow.
Oh, that's really wonderful. How about this Grand Prairie Women's Division? Do you have other divisions other than women? or do you have men's division? And
No, we have committees,
Okay.
and the women's division, they continue contributing to the Grand Prairie Chamber of
Okay.
Commerce as they've done in the past. Their Christmas in July fundraiser has always been successful, and through that program they raise scholarship money for the local individual children in the school district.
Okay, and do they do that as just the women's division, or is that through the Chamber of Commerce per se?
They are umbrellaed under the Chamber of Commerce, so they are a division of the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, you know that very well because you were a big part of starting that organization and making it thrive. And the Chamber has welcomed women for several years,
Yes.
so there's not necessarily a need for the separate, but they do such good work and
They have a good time doing
and
that.
they have a good time, and
Yes.
it's a wonderful opportunity for women to network with other women in business.
I know they're doing the Christmas lighting contest as we speak. I believe they're on board for judging the lighting, and in about 9 or 14 categories over the city of Grand Prairie, and they give prizes, and then they do the landscaping award, which is the yard of the month, I believe.
Well, they do a yard of the month, and they also do a business landscaping award, and all of that leads to the quality of life,
Oh,
the
you bet.
encouragement for people to take pride in our community, and they're a big part of keeping that level high and our standards high.
Well, we haven't talked about my favorite committee, which is governmental affairs, but maybe we'll get to that in a little bit because that is an exciting group. But how about this annual procurement thing?
Well, the 11th Annual Procurement Conference, once again held at Lone Star Park. That's been also a very nice place to hold events. It's an event that was designed by Lockheed Martin Missile and Fire Control, and with the help and assistance of Vought Aircraft Industries, they were instrumental in putting that together. It continues to grow under their support and the support of the Chamber. Over 5,000 businesses are invited to annually take advantage of this one-day event.
Well, that was wonderful. I did not attend all of their workshops, but I did get out there about 30 minutes before the luncheon, and I got to see all of the displays. And it was very, very rewarding. If I had a business that related to that, I could have spent more time there, and I should have probably, but I think it's wonderful that you will provide that because you bring big business into the reach of the small
Smaller business folks.
where they can really get to know procurement officers and maybe some of the big wigs of the larger companies.
Exactly.
And that takes on part of our mission is expanding our business growth.
That's great. All right. How about your card connection?
Well, there's many card connections throughout the year, and they're
Yeah.
a successful way for businesses to get together. Chamber members, ribbon cuttings, we get the chance to greet and network with other individual chamber members and other local city folks.
Yes. And would you recommend taking your time out at the end of the day? Everything has been so busy today, and then you see on your calendar business networking. How critical is that? It's
Very critical.
very important.
Very
isn't it?
important, and don't forget your ability not only to see what another business may have to offer your business, but what you may have to offer to another business.
Another business.
And if nothing else, a chance to make good friends in the local community.
Well, it's so wonderful. Maybe that my company is so small that I can't do something that I would like to do, but then with my neighbor here in business, I might pull them into an umbrella situation and work together and be something good for both of us, and you all provide that.
We do.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you do also have a small business administrator that comes in too. Are we going to talk about that a little bit later on?
We can.
We can.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit later on then. Good. How about your landscaping awards? We've already talked about those, haven't we? We're heading into Lockheed Martin. All right, how about the new members? Have you hustled new members this year?
This has been a year of great growth. We've had over 100 new members in the year 2004 alone, and we're
Is
still
that a
continuing
record?
to grow.
Is
I
that
don't
a
know if
record?
we've set any records.
It is not a record, but it's...
That was almost a record, wasn't it?
I think they had a membership drive several years ago where they got about 150 new members.
Oh,
But
my.
I think what's a benefit to us is that when we say that we received 100 new members, our efforts are to keep those members active and alive within our chamber and within our community. And that's been our goal, is not just to bring them into the chamber, but to keep them in the chamber. And we've been very successful at our retention of those members.
Yes, and I remember that almost at every one of our interviews, we've always made a pitch for new members because they're the lifeblood, and especially when we bring in new members that really find a taste of Grand Prairie, when they join the chamber, because that's the best way to get acquainted with your city, in my opinion.
Very much so.
How about the Breeders' Cup?
Well, what can be said about the Breeders' Cup?
Oh.
Our city shined brightly all over the world that day. We were fortunate enough to have Lone Star Park move here back when they did and establish their racing facility,
Yes.
and then for them to be able to host the Breeders' Cup at such a young age as far as their site is compared to, and the possibility that it may even come back as early as for another 4 or 5 years down the road. Great way to showcase our city, and all of our applause and hats off to Lone Star Park. They are a sustaining member of the chamber. Mr. Corey Johnson and Jeff Greco, we can't thank them enough for the way they displayed our city that day.
Your Chamber of Commerce website, did you get a lot of hits about the Breeders' Cup while that was going on?
We got several hits on our website. We got several phone calls, people coming in from all over the world. It was just phenomenal to talk, daily to people coming in from other countries, from other states, and from Texas itself, and learning what Grand Prairie had to offer. It was a great way for not only our city but our businesses to shine.
Kind of put us on the map a little bit, didn't it?
Definitely
We
did.
have to thank the mayor, too, the mayor and all of his committees that worked so hard on that. It's Fall Fantasy.
Well, third annual Fall Fantasy was once again a success, thanks to Miss Lisa Arnold and Buddy Bridges as her co-chair this year
Yes.
from Encore, or TXU, Encore.
Yes.
Great event. Gave the city a chance to get together, have a casino night, a classic casino night. It was really a lot of fun.
I think everyone had a real good time in coming to that. Even Mr. Jackson came to that, and he had a very good time under his circumstances of not being able to see and to participate in some of the activities. But it was so well done, and everyone felt so welcome because you had your best foot forward, I think, for that night.
Definitely.
Okay. And the casino, it was wonderful.
It was wonderful and packed, and we had a great poker tournament.
And Virginia Head won the $5,000
The big spender
prize.
card.
Oh, I love that. That is such a good idea.
That was fun to have somebody that was actually at the event
Yes.
win the money. That was exciting.
Okay. We're down to the nitty-gritty now, down to the bare facts. What's in store for 2005?
Well, as
Between the two of
Radonna
you all.
reminds me, thankfully a lot of the same. Sometimes change is necessary, but a lot of times continuing on with the successful path that I know past chairman, past board members, our current president Radonna, and hopefully I've been able to contribute to.
Okay. And how about this Small Business Administration helper? Let's talk about that. I don't know whether that's on our list or not, but you can talk about it.
I sure can.
Radonna.
We've looked at what we can do to make business better in Grand Prairie, and one of the areas that we saw a need for is we have a lot of startup business. Grand Prairie still continues to grow. So we have the Small Business Administration that comes in once a month, meets with businesses at no charge. And so it's just something that we can do to offer not just new businesses, but current businesses looking to expand, just something else that we can add to our regular program of work, which includes, and I think you mentioned it earlier, our Government Relations Committee, our Business Development Committee, our Education Committee, all of those different groups of volunteers. Those are business people who are volunteering their time. Just add to not just Grand Prairie, but the Chamber of Commerce, and our community in finding ways to help grow businesses.
All right. You did something brand new in governmental affairs this year. Instead of having a big deal of the day at the Grand Prairie ISD and interviewing all of our candidates, you did something different.
Did a voter's guide this year, and
That's it.
I would like to congratulate and say I'm very proud of our government committee.
Yes.
Each member took on candidates running everything down to local races all the way up to presidential races.
That's great.
And solicited questions and answers from those folks and put together a voter's guide to help the citizenry be better informed.
I wanted to give you all a prize for that because that was hard work, and I didn't get to contribute a lot to that. But I was saying you in my prayers that be a success because that's something we really have needed, and I salute you for that. They say, how long is it till the end of your tenure here on number 38?
Well, right now it's about, I believe, 24 days, maybe 11 to maybe 10 hours by the time we're through taping this program, possibly
right,
a few
okay.
minutes and a few seconds there. But,
And there's someone that's going to step into your shoes that's ably ready to do this.
very ably, very capable, Mr. Roy Wilson from Northwood University, and I'm
Yes.
so proud to have him stepping up and being our chairman for the year 2004. He's going to make a fine chairman for the city, for the Chamber of Commerce.
Now, we've already thanked your family. We've thanked Rodonna, but we have a list here of some of the ones we may have missed. Why don't you try number 40?
And I cannot miss any of these important people. As I just introduced, Chair-elect Roy Wilson, our treasurer, Mr. Stuart McCallum, Workforce Development, Ms. Lisa Arnold, Community Development, Ms. Lila Thorne, Chamber Development, Mr. C.W. Higgins, Chamber City Partnership, Mr. Vince Rabel, Business Development, Mr. Don Goldsmith, Tourism and Marketing, Mr. Alan Hughes, and thank you most of all to our immediate past chairman, Ms. Janie Christian, who asked me to serve as her chairman, who gave me good advice and set a good example.
Yes. And you have been a member of the Chamber of Commerce how long, and from what company do you represent? You've already told us at the beginning, but we want to one more time give a sort of a kudo and bow 3 times to the east to your company that let you out of the cage long enough to do all these good things.
Well, the Gessner Insurance Agency has been a member for 15 years, and I have been active with the Chamber since I joined our business, our family business, for the last 9 years.
9 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a pretty good amount of time to give to a community entity such as the Chamber, of course, of which we think is one of the most important arms of the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. And I'd like for you to have a few things to say. We have about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. Ms. Rodonna?
Well, as Greg said, we're getting ready to celebrate our 60th anniversary of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. I do think it's successful now. I do think there are ways to go to make it better. But you look back over the history of Grand Prairie, and for the last 60 years, the Chamber of Commerce has been a part of it. You can go into the Chamber boardroom and look at all of the past chairmen of the board, or back, Ms. Jackson, when you was called the president of the Chamber, and so many of those people are still involved.
Yes.
And if they are not personally involved, there's usually someone such as Greg, who, you know, a part of their family who carries the torch.
Yes.
And that's exciting, and that's what makes our community special, is that we have a lot of people that give a lot of time, volunteer time. I love my job, and it's because I work with volunteers who give back to their community on a daily basis.
Would you thank your staff in a half a minute?
I would. Beverly Grogan, who's vice president, Lynn McGinley, who does membership services. Everyone at the Chamber of Commerce appreciates not only our board of directors, but all of our community.
I want to thank y'all very much for being here today, and we're wrapping up. And history is as we live and do in Grand Prairie, Texas, and this is the result that we have today, our history tape number 534. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you.
And don't forget to document it.